Minutes ago, the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, Kirstjen Nielsen, announced that President Trump will sign a proclamation today deploying National Guard troops to the U.S.-Mexico border. Nielsen says she hopes the deployment will begin immediately, even potentially as early as this evening. The president had teased some kind of action yesterday, saying he would send, quote, the military. And on Twitter this morning, the president promised, quote, strong action. CNN's Jeff Zeleny at the White House. And Jeff, you asked Secretary Nielsen why this is happening so urgently. Why now? What did she have to say?
Well, Jake, that certainly is the question here. What has changed so dramatically that this needs to happen? I mean, but she was talking about sending an unspecified number of troops for an unspecified duration of time at an unspecified price tag to the border. But again, we asked her, why so urgent? Let's watch.
What responsibility does the White House or the department have for not urging Congress to do something more permanent rather than having National Guard troops down there who are, stretched thin already in their own states?
No, it's a great question, and I appreciate the opportunity to clarify. We do want Congress to act. We had been hopeful that we would be able to agree on a bipartisan bill. The president, as you know, supported 2 of the 4 that were offered on the floor this last go-round. So what we were trying to do is give Congress an opportunity to act.
So she went on to say, Jake, that they're, have seen an uptick in border crossings, advertisements, and other things in the month of April as the weather warms up, but never seemed to answer the question exactly why this is needed at this moment. You know, the House is in recess, the Senate not here. The president is taking action on this. We do believe, based on our reporting, that it is because of a Fox News report over the weekend where he also had a dinner with Sean Hannity, informal advisor here at Mar-a-Lago over the weekend. And since then, he has been pressing immigration. Clearly a sign that he wants to reach out to his base, which has been asking some tough questions about this. But that sense of urgency, it feels like it here, but we're still not sure what has changed on the border to warrant any of this as soon as tonight. Jake. All
right, Jeff Zeleny at the White House for us. Thanks so much. My political panel is here with me. Jackie Kucinich, can it actually be right that the president saw this Fox and Friends report or Fox News report about a caravan of hundreds of individuals coming up from Central America, an annual activity, and he saw this, and that plus the meeting with Sean Hannity at Mar-a-Lago, that's why all of a sudden U.S. National Guard troops are being sent to the border?
I would also add to that list, because it is entirely possible, the fact that the president was still bent out of shape, that he had to sign this omnibus appropriations bill that did not have the amount of money that he wanted to build his wall. He said he was never going to sign anything like that again because it didn't, and he tried to pressure Congress. Congress said no. So I think in the backlash he got from people like Ann Coulter, from members of his base, the fact that he signed it anyway, I think that also added to the fact and the rage that's kind of going into this new policy that's bringing troops to the border.
Simone, what do you think?
I think the White House has not been clear. So one, the president cannot deploy the National Guard. That's something the governors have to do. And he does have folks, governors along the border that will go along with the get along, but I doubt that Governor Jerry Brown of California will be doing just that. Secondly, the White House is conflating a number of issues. You had the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security saying that both illegal, quote-unquote, immigration is down, but also that there is an influx of folks coming to this country. So which is it? I think they're trying to have their cake and eat it too, and this is problematic. The president is seemingly throwing a temper tantrum because he did not get his money for the border wall, so now he's going to siphon off millions of dollars from the defense budget that has been appropriated for something else to build parts of a wall on military property. That should be concerning to everyone, and I want Congress to wake up and do their damn job.
The idea that the president is motivated to do this because of what happened over the weekend, but also potentially because of the midterms, seems like a cogent political argument. He's not going to be able to campaign on, we're getting the wall done in the midterms, but he can say, look, we're doing something. We sent troops, National Guard troops.
I think this has a lot more to do with November and the president sensing that the Republicans could lose the House at that time. And so this may be the moment, the summer may be the time for you to do anything with support from Congress. And so he is unilaterally going ahead. I think it's open question where this money is coming from, as Simone pointed out, and the fact that they're openly saying we're going to build essentially military installations at the border without any consent from Congress, I find sort of alarming. Is this a DHS facility? Is it Homeland Security? Is it an ICE facility? So there's a lot of questions going into that.
Then the other question, I think, is when the president talked about sending the military, it was unclear what he meant.
I don't think he knew, Jake.
You don't think he knew?
I do not think Donald Trump knew what he was talking about. He thought that he could deploy the army, I think, to the border. And that is...
Send the 101st Airborne in?
Send the 101st Airborne, go right on down to Arizona. It does not work like that. Civics is really important, but I'm concerned that Donald Trump does not know the difference between whom he is, in fact, in charge of. The president cannot deploy the National Guard.
We also don't know if DHS asked for this or not. That wasn't clear by Secretary Nielsen's presentation there in the briefing room. You'd think if they did, there would be a little bit more information. We'd know how much this cost. We'd know how many troops were going down. We don't know any of that information right now.
Or for how long.
Like a blindside, her making this huge announcement from the podium at the White House while Congress is in recess.
Right.
She mentioned that she's been talking to governors, but I really wonder how much she has been talking to Congress. And I don't mind them getting a little bit of pressure. Listen, the wall has been authorized since 2006.
Right.
They've dragged their feet on it. They haven't got it done. And so I don't blame Trump for trying to move forward and do something, but the fact that it doesn't appear to be in consultation with Republican members of Congress, given that he has so many, people along the southern border that do support him, I find strange.
And just to be clear, President Obama and President George W. Bush both sent National Guard troops to the border, but they did so with an interagency process, consultation with the states and consultation with Mexico.
Absolutely. Lastly, Jake, I'd just like to note that White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders got out there today, and she started with quotes from MLK saying the president believes all folks are equal. Then from that exact same podium, on the 50th anniversary on the assassination of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., you had the Secretary of Homeland Security demonizing immigrants and undocumented people.
I mean, there's not a constituency saying that we should have complete open borders. I mean, I think this
no
is
one
where
is saying that.
The progressives run a little bit afoul. I mean, who is in favor?
Who have you ever heard say that we want open borders?
I don't know. Do you think that?
No, I do not think that we should have open borders.
A secretary saying that we need to do something to stop illegal crossings is somehow demonizing immigrants? I don't.
I think she got up there and alluded to the fact that there were just hordes and hordes of individuals spilling into our country. In the same vein, she noted that.
Have a distinction.
In the same vein, she noted that immigration, that quote unquote illegal immigration was down.
But they were noting that there's more people coming from Central America gaming the system. That was
think
a
they're
lot of people
demonizing
coming in on planes rather than coming across the border that stay here illegally, overstay their visas.
Sure, and visa overstays, which I do think the package of reforms that the secretary alluded to, that she wanted to work with Congress, I mean, that should obviously be part of it. And it is weird to me that they said, oh, we have this whole package of reforms we want to talk with Congress with, but we'll tell you about that later.
Yeah, they didn't have any numbers. They didn't have any numbers about how much it costs, who it is, how long folks are going. I think this was rushed. And so I'm hard pressed to believe that there was in fact a plan, that there is in fact a real package. And again, this is not a reaction to something that was said on Fox News. This is not how we should run the government.
It was more thought out than a tweet.
Look, if this was the Obama administration, I'd just like to know folks would be up in arms. And so I'd like us to just apply the same standards across the board.